Welcome. This is Bridging of Ages. I'm Dan Mendelvitz. Today we're going to talk about why would I want to hire someone my parents' age? And think about that. So, if you're hiring someone your parents' age, how does that benefit the workplace? Are you able to hire an older worker? Does it feel awkward to someone older than you and able to hire them? Maybe you're in your 30s or 40s, you're in a hiring position, and somebody comes in who is your father or mother's age. What do you think? Would you feel comfortable with that? And think about the reverse. Who hired you? Perhaps it was an older person. So how come it would be awkward then? Not awkward then, but it's awkward if you have to hire somebody older than yourself. Think about how that is going to enhance your team. So I would like you to kind of think about this as you look into it. You know, a lot on this show, we talk about working on both sides, younger and older workers working together and intergenerational teams. But here's an instance where I'd like you to look at where you are the younger person and it's time to hire. And your comfort level with hiring somebody older who may be a parent or a grandparent age, but could offer a lot to your business or organization. So let's look at the unique strengths of older employees. What do they bring to the table? Obviously, experience. So we can't substitute for experience. If you think about So let's look at unique strengths of older employees. Now, obviously, the most obvious one is experience. They have years of experience. They have gone through the things that you are now experiencing now. Very effective communication, learn how to communicate in different environments with younger people, with older people, tend to have a very respectful communication, trying to understand how another person communicates and bringing that back and forth. And another big one is conflict resolution. So it's important to bring a more calm approach to conflict and not just reacting emotionally. And when you've had some years on you and some miles on you, you get an opportunity to see disagreements in a different light. And it's important that you want to bring somebody in who can really try to resolve those things in a very positive and productive way, because that is going to reflect on the work environment. And eventually, it's also going to be important to understand how that's going to take on your innovation and your productivity. Collaboration. The experience with teamwork over the years and how it has changed and how it's evolved is a net positive to your team. Having to bridge different roles, having to experience different roles, being in a management and a non-management position, having seen the profession evolve and seeing how new ideas can be incorporated, this is very important in the collaboration. And somebody who's been doing this for a while has an opportunity to see it in a different light. And that's great for you to have on your team, because now you have somebody who can reflect to you how it looked like, how it's evolved, and has made the mistakes and successes in the same line of work that you're looking at and can give you that perspective. And also the cultural sensitivity. As you probably already found out, as you go through your work life, you really have to adapt to different types of environments and different people. And your customers may be older than you, other people on your team, management, other divisions, other groups that you work in within the workplace and outside of it. And so if you have somebody who's kind of gone through this before, they can really adapt quickly to a very different and diverse workplace. So by looking at somebody who is older than yourself, you are also being part of that inclusion. And it helps with that mutual respect. So let's look at some of the common misconceptions. There's the idea that there might be more health issues, not having the ability to do some of the tech. And those are pretty common misconceptions with older workers. The interesting thing, according to the Department of Labor, older workers have about 2.1% absenteeism, whereas younger employees have about 4.5%. So if you're just looking at who's going to make it to work, it tends to be an older worker who does that more consistently. Now, that's not to take away from your younger workers, because I'm sure that they are also working hard. But we have to be careful that we don't fall into our conscious and unconscious biases when we're looking at this, because those misconceptions can really stop your comfort, and you may lose somebody who's got a lot of talent and can help your organization or company. Let's look at the tech one. What's really important to understand is that most older employees really successfully adapt to new technologies and workplace changes. They've been through all these changes. I can tell you from my own experience, I have seen an incredible change in technology since when I started working. And as each stage changed, I had to adapt. And I was able to teach it to others, younger and older than myself. And so that ability to adapt, you learn as you go through the workplace. And what you will find is, even though there's this stereotype out there that older workers can't handle the tech, the vast majority are able to adapt, are working, and have seen a lot of changes and what can go wrong. Also, not being adaptable. Yeah, some people are stuck in their ways, but it's not related to age. You can do that at any point. You could even look at being stuck in your own way by feeling that you can't hire people that are older or younger than yourself. So, numerous surveys have shown that adaptability really is not age dependent. It's really how you train and how you explain it. And as we've talked about on previous shows, that communication is vital. It's very important that you understand how to communicate with somebody in a different way, whether it be text or email or Slack channel or just sitting down and talking one-on-one. And that skill is very important. And you will find that quite prevalent in older workers. So if you are currently providing continuous learning in your workplace organization, that becomes available to everybody. and that includes the older workers. So think about, what are the positive impacts on team dynamics? What are the strengths? What are the opportunities? As we've, you can't substitute for experience, and I've said this over and over again. If you think about going from the beginner's mind into the experience, it really matters. It affects the performance, it affects the culture, it affects how you learn. And you will find that most people are very adaptable no matter what their age. And as I've talked about on previous shows, you are not your age. It's just a number. You are your collection of your experiences, whether being young or old. But as you gain experience, it really enhances your problem solving because you've had these various experiences. And as I like to say, I like to hire problem solvers because we can teach, the tech and the other things. But if somebody isn't open to being a problem solver and looking for new and innovative ways to create and to complete and to finish projects, you're only stopping yourself from that kind of innovation and productivity. So that problem solving comes from your very experience. And as we've seen, when you start mixing various ages and experiences, it really shoots up the creativity, the innovation, the problem solving, the ability to have somebody there who can mentor you, or vice versa, you mentor them, because, mentoring has to be a two-way street. And the strengths of the multiple generational teams, you can leverage. So now if you have somebody who is older with you, you can leverage that experience. But you really have to give them the opportunity. So if you don't give somebody the opportunity, you won't have all that extras that come with having an intergenerational team. So let's look how it increases customer trust and company reputation. So experience networks build trust. Think about what your customer base is. In most cases, it isn't geared just to one age group or one experience level. It's multi-level. If your team doesn't reflect that, how are you going to be able to talk to that market? You may have some success in the beginning, and many have. But do you actually know what they are doing and what they are talking about and what they're looking for? Because it's really important to have that network, that trust. And older employees really bring all those established relationships. They have bigger network. They tend to have bigger networks. They have customer experience. They've seen a lot of the problems and difficulties of working with your customer base or the people that your organization serve, and they can bring that to your team. And when you're more inclusive like that, it really elevates your reputation because now you have different faces of your organization in different levels of experience and ages. And that's going to strengthen your brand. It's going to broaden your client appeal. And now you can expand from that niche market. You really get to serve a broader base. So if you think about it, the customer trust and company reputation really build from the experience that you are bringing in the door. And by being inclusive in an intergenerational way, you have now enhanced your team and brought in the ability to have better mentoring, better problem solving, better productivity, and enhanced customer base. So let's look at the business advantages of multi-generational workforce. Now, we've talked to some of those things. There is the traditional wisdom that somebody older brings from their experience, and they contribute a lot. And we've talked about this before in previous shows, how, especially here in the States, we tend to be a very segregated by age. And when we don't bring those together, we lose a lot of the advantage of that traditional wisdom, what the person has been gathering over the years of their experience. On the other side, a younger staff can really bring fresh ideas that can intertwine with what that traditional wisdom has brought. And when you have people who are open and ready to work together on different, intergenerational levels, that really drives the creativity and the adaptability, because as we know, business doesn't stand still. You always are evolving. The work is always changing. So don't allow yourself just to think of the age. And you really want to reach that collaborative balance. So we're combining the perspectives of people from different levels, different experiences, and that really is when things take off. So I'd like to talk about getting past your reluctance to hire someone older. Look inside. Why is it difficult? Perhaps you have an interview, somebody walks in the door, and they remind you of your father, your mother, a grandparent, somebody older in your life. And that makes you feel uncomfortable. But why does it make you feel uncomfortable? Does that person not have something to offer? Let's say I walk in the door and you go, "Oh, you look like my father or grandfather's age." I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. I don't know if I can communicate. I don't know if you can handle the work. Well, I can tell you we can handle the work because we have handled the work. And as we talked about in a previous show, people are getting older and working longer in a very viable way. You are leaving on the table an experience that could enhance your business, your division, your group, your organization. I'd like you to just take a look at why that feels uncomfortable. And as I said in the beginning, somebody hired you. Were they older? Were they younger? Why is it that I can't be uncomfortable hiring somebody younger, but you can be uncomfortable hiring somebody older? Because it's the same thing. We're getting hung up on that number, on that age, not how the person's experience can bring that to us. So, important, think about those conscious and unconscious biases that are preventing you from hiring somebody who looks like they are your parent. And challenging those ageist stereotypes. So we've gone through some of the various ways for you to become more comfortable with hiring somebody who is your parents' age. And that is a way that you can move forward and look at hiring that person. Oh, let's pause. Thank you. And after a word from our sponsor, we will come back and talk about some action items and tips that you can use in order to look at how you can hire somebody who is your parents' age. Be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Bridging of Ages with Dan Mendelvitz. Let's take a look at some action items that you can use in order to look at how you can hire somebody who is your parents' age. Action item 1, assess your comfort with the process. So as we talked about, do you know why this feels uncomfortable to you? Are you able to separate that this person looks like they're your parent or grandparent age and that makes you uncomfortable? Are you not assessing the person? Are you looking at their age? Are you excluding them because of that? So you really have to take a look at that. So what I suggest is really write down what is making you uncomfortable and how you think you can overcome that. Because once you look at it, I think what you will find is that you can overcome that. And you will find the benefits of moving forward with that. You know, it's really, you can't look at somebody as somebody else. You really have to take in the person who's in front of you. And that is a good way to make sure that you don't miss out on the opportunity of hiring somebody who could be a great asset to your team. Action item 2, determine the benefits of this type of hire. As we talked about, offering experience, wisdom, having gone through the trenches and really understanding some of the problems that repeatedly come up through the years of their work can enhance what you're looking for. That mentorship that you could utilize, that people on your team could utilize. Having a more mixed group that more represents your customers. So make a list for yourself of the benefits for this type of hire to your team, to your organization, to your company. That's all those benefits, I think you will find will outweigh the disadvantages. And you can even put 2 columns together and just say, all right, this is everything that's good. This is everything that I'm concerned about. And then address, so when you look at those things you're concerned about, that you can even go back to action item 1 and obsess what your comfort is with that. And that allows you to look at it from both sides. Action item 3. List the business's advantages. Now, we've talked about it during this show, of those advantages to you. You now have somebody who has more experience. You have somebody who has a bigger network. You have somebody who has a greater amount of contacts of other people in the business, outside of the business, in the customer base. They can bring various things to you that will be an advantage to your business or organization. So it's really important to look at that list. So make that list. What can it bring to you? Because you're looking at this in various ways of understanding how this can enhance your team, improve your profit, your innovation, all those things. All those things work together to become advantages to your business or organization. All very important. So if we look again, the action items. Action item 1, assess your comfort with the process. So really look inside yourself and determine why this is uncomfortable, and make the resolution to move past that comfort. Because if you think about it, where you've been really successful, when you move outside your comfort zone, that's really where the action happens. That's where you grow. So by assessing your comfort and looking for a way to work outside of that, that really helps. Action item 2, determine the benefits of this type of hire. I think when you make that list, you will find that this will be to your benefit, whether it be mentoring or experience or growing your intergenerational team. In action item 3, list the business advantages. This is really where rubber meets the road. You are looking for a way to enhance profitability, your bottom line, and the dynamics and efficiency of your team. And those all become the business advantages. And I believe very strongly when you have a strong intergenerational team, that is really going to help your business. So here's the tip of the day. Intergenerational teams are more productive and innovative. We've talked about this on shows before, and you'll hear it again in shows in the future. Your strength is in intergenerational teams. They are always more productive and innovative, and that will work to your advantage. This has been Bridging of Ages. My name is Dan Mendelvitz. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. We look forward to seeing you again. Invest in brain power, fuel brilliance.